Hi everyone, welcome to this third December special of Fine Cider Friday, and today it is Fruit Fight, and I have got two cherry creations to share with you today. I've got the Do It Puritan Collector's Edition 1 from Little Pomona, and I've got this Gone Forever from Pilton, so Somerset, Herefordshire. These are both a little bit frisky. I don't know if you can see, but I opened them a little while ago, and Little Pomona is still going. And they did say chill it and open it carefully, lava-like sediment, and there was some weird bubbly stuff going on at the top, which I'm glad I waited for. I didn't fancy pouring it out. Pilton, a little more delicate, and stuff has dipped down as well, but I'll tell you more about them in a minute. Pilton's wax dipped, which, although it looks lovely, is an absolute pain and lethal to try and open. I swear I'm going to cut my hand one day on one of these bottles. If you stick around to the end of the video, you'll see my shenanigans of trying to open this one. But where do we start? Well, they're both cherry. This one from Little Pomona has been, it's cider that's been fermented to dryness, and then some cherry juice, which has been pressed, has been blended back in, and then some in-bottle conditioning and fermentation has occurred, resulting in this rather lively number. And then for Pilton, I'm going to have to read the back of the bottle because there's so much going on in this. I don't know if you remember the Scarlet Sharper did back in the summer, which had loads of layers to it. This is the same. So it's barrel-aged cherry wine, which has been blended with new seasoned cider, Keeve cider, obviously, because it's Pilton. But on top of that, there's also some dry herb meadowsweet to add some subtle almond notes, and then some cryo-extracted crabs in there from some acidity. I mean, there's so much going on in here. It's going to be fascinating to explore. So I think I'm going to start with Little Pomona. I've got the glass this time. So let's have a pour. Be careful to leave that sediment behind. I did have some antlers to try and do the whole Rudolph ensemble, but I didn't have the red nose. But to be fair, I think either of these could put Rudolph out of a job. Beautiful, bright red colour. Have a look at that in the glass. Quite hazy. I'm presuming from the bottle fermentation that's been going on in there, but it's a really vibrant colour. On the nose, so this has been blended with their table cider. If you've ever had that, this was 150 litres that were left over, and it's really got that kind of rich, kind of tannic phenolics, you know, like a bit medicinal. I'm not getting a huge amount of cherry. Maybe there's like a faint bit at the end, like a little bit of almond, like some red apple maybe, but it's because it's quite cold, because that's what they said. I think that's dampened down some of the volatiles on the nose, so I'm hoping to get a bit more from the taste. So let's try. It's mouth puckering. That's quite tart. There's a lot of bubbles in there, which just kind of explode on your tongue and froth around, which is really interesting. The definite kind of not overpowering, but dominant note is one of acidity. There is definitely some cherry in there, but it's not like the sweet fruit that you might bite into. It's kind of grown up kind of sharpness to it, which is really interesting. It's very crisp, very lively. I'm trying to remember it's sour cherries, so that makes total sense, doesn't it? Kelleris, which I've never had before. Very interesting. Let me have one more sip. I mean, you've got that kind of tannic backbone from that table cider base, but the sour cherries really give it an abrupt tartness that kind of dominates everything else. It's really quite fizzy as well. So let's try Pilton's. Kind of a dark ruby colour in comparison. Still bubbles, but a bit less, bit clearer maybe. If you can see that very well in this light. excuse me, definitely kind of a ruby red. It's almost got a glimmer to it, hasn't it? And the bubbles seem to froth to the top, whereas these seem to stay definitely in the liquid itself. Let's have a sniff of this one. Oh God, oh, that's totally different. Wow. There is a kind of herby, savoury note to it. And then underneath that, there's definitely like, I've had cherry wine before, and that's what it reminds me of. I mean, it is cherry wine in the beginning, but it's a bit more, it's a bit richer. I don't know how to describe it. What kind of cherries was it? Martin doesn't say, I don't think, what kind of cherries, but it reminds me of Borough Hill's Morello cherry liqueur, that rich kind of dessert cherry. Not getting a huge amount of apple. Maybe a woody tone to it. Let's have a taste. Another one. Well, okay, there's a lot in there, as expected from the label. Sweetness and acidity kind of intertwined together. I can't kind of tell where one begins and one ends. Obviously the cherries are bringing, and those crab apples are bringing some kind of real acidity to it, but then the keeved cider and the fact that the crabs have been cryo extracted has kind of concentrated the sweetness. So they kind of almost clash, but then a bit more harmonious together. The herb, the meadowsweet, I've never heard of meadowsweet before, I had to look it up. It just adds this kind of complexity in the background, which I can't quite describe. I'm going to have to have another sip. I'm not 100% sure. It's like nutty, woody, herby, savouriness that I can't actually pinpoint what I think it tastes like, which is not helpful, I know. It's almost a little bit crazy. Let me try again. It confuses your mouth. It's like, am I sharp, am I sweet, am I savoury? It's really interesting. All right, okay, I need to make a decision, otherwise you're going to be watching me all night, which is not, I'm sure, what you want to be doing on your Friday. Tart, sharp, crisp, very fizzy. It's like syrup, you know, like it adds a syrupiness to it. You know, if you cook sugar to create syrup, obviously, it changes the way you taste it. It's not as sweet. It has this kind of, I don't know, like savoury. I'm really struggling for my words here. It's got that to it. Maybe like rosehip. Maybe it's like rosehip syrup. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud here. But right, I need to pick a favourite. And it's tough because I love Pilton and I love Little Pomona. I think I'm going to go with Pilton because it's just randomly complex and I'm really intrigued by it and I'm really going to look forward to kind of exploring it. This is great. It's really tart, really sharp. It's just a bit too fizzy for me. Just a little bit too fizzy for me. So yeah, Pilton it is for me this week. Hope you've enjoyed watching. And yeah, try them. This is a collect edition, only available I think to club members at the minute, but there's still some on the website, so maybe they'll open it up to the rest of the world. And this I think is still available on Pilton, but watch out for that wax. Anyway, okay. Cheers to Martin, cheers to James, Susanna and Blair, and cheers to the weekend.